About 6 years ago, while I was still a mere student, a friend of mine broke up with his girlfriend in the most well-thought way I've ever seen. Let's start with a little backstory. They met each other during high school and got together a year before this story, and they were a really nice couple for a long time. He, John, was the kind of guy who was fairly handsome, a good student, and on top of that, one of the nicest person in our class. She, Jane, was objectively beautiful. Long brown hair, nice silhouette, from horse riding almost her entire life. She even had her own horse, Epona. She was pretty nice if you were her friend. She could be a little bitchy from time to time, but she was way worse with those she didn't saw as friends. So almost half of the class that was comically almost divided in two even physically by how we sat in the classroom. Let's end. And the next two are common, fine, and fair. John's best friend, Jim, was also in our class, and he also had a crush on Jane during high school because she was hard to miss and pretty popular. But she chose John, and that was the end of it for him. He had girlfriends too. After that, everything was fine. But during our second year of BTS, French diploma after high school, Jane's behavior drifted more and more towards the naggy and not as pleasant side she rarely showed before all this, while becoming a little bit more flirty with guys, especially Jim, who she knew had a crush on her in high school. Not often, and never when John could see, but she liked the attention you can get when you don't turn down guys who hit on you immediately. It never got really far, and even if we told John she was less nice to be around than before, he still loved her, so it didn't bother him too much. But he did try to calm her a little bit after we talked about that. Then, during Christmas holidays that they spent with their respective families, like they did every year, Jane and Jim went to a party together, which wasn't that unusual since they were both amongst the frequent party-goer in our class, since they lived in the same town, and it was hosted by a common friend from high school. John couldn't come because he was catching up with his cousins he didn't saw for months that evening. Jane and Jim got hammered during that evening, and all the flirting ended up with her pulling him into a room where they fucked. When he realized what happened, the next morning after sobering up, Jim was mortified and drove all the way to John's house to tell him what happened, that he was so sorry and he would never have done that sober. He even told John to hit him if he wanted to and he wouldn't fight back, because even if John wasn't a slob, Jim was almost a head taller than him and really strong too. Fortunately, their friendship went back to elementary school, and John knew he was telling the truth, especially since he was a little bit more careful with how Jane acted after some of us talked about her, and he saw that she could get a bit too flirty with him. It did took some time for him to get over it, but they are still friends to this day. New Year's Eve was the next time he saw Jane, and he asked her about what happened at that party. But she freaked out and asked him how he could believe she would do something behind his back, and she wasn't a whore. That Jim drooled over her since high school, and he tried to take advantage of her while she was drunk, but only got a kiss. Not even with a moment of hesitation. He acted like he believed her and apologized, spent a nice evening, and started plotting his revenge. They started dating at the end of last January, so their anniversary was coming up. And this is when he would do it. He had a key to her apartment, so while she was out all afternoon preparing for the evening, he really made the place look fantastic. She came home to a trail of rose petals leading to a table lit only by a few candles while a soft music was playing. John really liked to cook, and as expected, the dinner was amazing, with a handmade salad of different vegetables cut in balls and glazed in oil, and a nice juicy steak. After a few bites, he asked her how it was, and when she told him she loved it, he said, "See, I told you you would love Epona, even in your plate." She wasn't a vegetarian, but she took the "I like horses" as family, not as meals. She dropped her fork and became white as a ghost, before springing to her feet, running for the bathroom while frantically screaming incoherent noises since she was already beginning to vomit the meat she just ate. Sadly for her, he had duct-tapped the lid of the toilets shut and put the braid Jane used to tie on Epona on the seat. She just broke down crying, curled up on the floor where the barf was slowly dripping from the seat, repeating, "Epona, you bastard, my poor Epona." He calmly finished his horse steak, then picked up his things, told her he knew she cheated and that they were breaking up, and oh, happy anniversary. Then he left. The meat was of course not her horse. He was angry at her, but not a psychopath. It took her days to realize as Epona was locked up in her apartments.